Thank you so much. My name is Shusha Rodriguez. My pronouns are she, her, ella, and I'm the Associate Curator of Contemporary Art here at Crystal Bridges. It's my absolute pleasure, and I cannot stress that enough, my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to this historic evening with Beeple and Human One. Tonight, we are excited to have Beeple, the artist himself, and Ryan Zurer, the collector of Human One, here to share about the kinetic sculpture's historic return home. For those of you who may not know them, please allow me to introduce them to you. Beeple is Mike Winkelman, a graphic designer from Charleston, South Carolina, here in the USA, who does a variety of digital artwork, including short films, Creative Commons VJ loops, everydays, and VR/AR work. After he began releasing a set of widely used Creative Commons VJ loops, he has worked on concert visuals for Justin Bieber, One Direction, Katy Perry, Nicki Minaj, Eminem, Zedd, deadmau5, and many more. One of the originators of the current everyday movement in 3D graphics, he has been creating a picture every day from start to finish and posting it online for over 10 years without missing a single day. That's straight up endurance. Ryan is the founder of Dialectic, a Swiss-based family office focused on alternative assets. Ryan was a very early investor in some of the best performing venture investments of the last decade. Ryan co-founded Polychain Capital and is considered the co-creator of the SAFT. He has built a reputation for being a value-add venture investor with uniquely global purview and deep understanding of decentralized networks, as well as crypto-native challenges and opportunities in an international context. He is the owner of an important digital art collection, which includes Beeple's Human One, and Rafik Analow's Machine Hallucinations MoMA, through his collection One of One Works. On behalf of all of us here at Crystal Bridges, I'd like to thank Ryan for the very generous loan of Human One to the museum in our efforts to make great American works of American art accessible to all. And I'd like to thank you all so much for choosing to spend this evening with us. But now please, join me in warmly welcoming Beeple and Ryan Zurer.
Cool. This work? I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. It means a lot to us that we get to share this moment, which I think is a unique one thus far in art history, that we all get to share in the updating of a piece of art. I also want to thank the entire team at Crystal Bridges for their hospitality here. I haven't told anybody in a public context this yet, but when I bought Human One and our team decided to do a global tour, right from the outset, the only American institution that we wanted to bring Human One to was Crystal Bridges. And that's because, yeah, the reason for that is because it's this wonderful institution of the celebration of American art here in the heart of America. And Mike is, this amazing American artist from the heart of America. And so it feels like a homecoming of one of your own and being able to celebrate one of your own. And so, Mike, how do you feel about this homecoming, being able to come here and bring your magnum opus back to the heart of America?
It is amazing. I just have one small housekeeping thing. So actually, this piece uses projection mapping, and a lot of people don't quite understand this. So this is kind of the correct way to view it. So if people on the side want to try and view it this way, I promise you it will look a lot more interesting and sort of correct. So sorry, I just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, thank you guys for having me. So amazing to be here. I'm from a small town in Wisconsin, so this very much feels like a similar, although it's losing the hometown a little bit. It feels like a very similar sort of atmosphere, so it's such a massive, massive honor to be here.
Why don't you walk us through Human One? For those of you who don't know, I think one of the things that is so celebrated about Mike and what resonates with people so much is he's known as this artist that every day takes one step in front of the other and continues to evolve. And we see this in his everydays, and we also see this with Human One. And I'd love to hear from you, because actually we haven't ever talked about this, but you know, what is your feeling about how it's evolved, how your vision has evolved from the Genesis moment to this, and how you've evolved as an artist around Human One?
Sure. So I think what to me is exciting about this piece is it is dynamic, and it is going to continue to change over time. The piece was initially sold in October of 2021, and the video looked completely different from this. It still had a person walking, but they were walking in a completely different environment. And so over the course of my life, I'm going to continue to update this video. And I think this, to me, speaks to the sort of true potential of digital art, that it can change over time, and it doesn't need to be a static sort of like object. All of these other pieces on the wall here, they're not going to change. That painting will look exactly like that in 200 years. But I think the ability for this to continually to update and to sort of have this ongoing dialogue versus a statement frozen in time is something that you're going to see a lot more as time goes on with like art. And I think that to me is super exciting. This is sort of the fourth chapter of this changing that we're about to see. And I think it's really been super fun to sort of like just be on this journey. If I'm being quite honest, I don't really know where this journey is going. I don't have like 30 years of this thing like planned out, then I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do. I have a vague idea where it's going in the next couple years, but I definitely don't have this like massive, you know, sort of like thing planned out, which to me is, you know, sort of, I guess, indicative of the journey that I'm on and the journey that we're all on, and being able to sort of like, you know, sort of pivot as things happen. One of the first updates that I did to it was a update of the Ukraine war. And it sort of had the person walking through kind of like a sort of war-torn sort of like landscape. And again, this was a statement that this artwork could not have made when it initially sold, because the war had not even started. And so I think something that is really not acknowledged enough with this is Ryan's trust and belief in me to change this and be able to sort of continue to push things and, you know, educate people about digital art and sort of add beauty and challenge it, you know, through this piece that he doesn't know and quite honestly doesn't have any control over. Versus when you buy a painting, you're pretty sure that the artist is not going to come in there and like add a bunch more things on there. You can be pretty sure of that.
That's actually one of the real like compelling things that drew me to Human One, is that it changes the relationship between collector and artist.
100%.
Where now we have this, you know, this conversation that we're on for the next, you know, 30 plus years, which is really exciting, because it's really about the relationship that matters to me. It's just funny that we kind of started on this journey after, I think, one Zoom call, which is basically like getting married after a single Zoom date, right? We went on one Zoom date, got married, and now we're on this journey together. But it's been great, and I've been so grateful that we've been able to exchange ideas, and then, to my delight, you know, some of the ideas that we've exchanged have shown up on the pieces. So you'll see the stickers, like kind of a backpacker. Here on the one side, like showing the different spots that we've been on along the journey, and that's been wonderful.
Yeah, that was his idea. It was like, oh, well, it'd be cool if you know, when it went to these different museums, we could have the like stickers of the museums that it went to, sort of like cataloging that. I'm like, that is a fantastic idea. I'm definitely going to do that. And so to me, that's like so exciting to have that different sort of like relationship. And I think you will see that a lot more in digital art. I think you will see the idea that art does not have to be this static thing, that it can be a dynamic thing that evolves and changes in many different ways over many different sort of periods of time. To me, I think that's super, super exciting, and something that, you know, we're very much at the beginning of sort of exploring here.
So why don't we just quickly walk through the other chapters that we had. So the first chapter was Human 1 walking through a kind of evolving landscape. Chapter 2 was the Ukrainian one. And then here in chapter 3, you did something really wonderful for the Asian audience at M+, who's juxtaposed against a historic Kusama exhibition. And what were you thinking here? And then also, this is about to change, and there are Easter eggs in it where if you solve the puzzle, you get a Beeple, and also I get a Beeple. So maybe you can give some last minute clues, so somebody could maybe solve the puzzle before we change over and lose the opportunity to solve the puzzle.
Sure. So yeah, this is the third update that you're looking at now. The first update was the person sort of walking through a kind of art historical sort of like landscape. There was these sort of giant Giacometti people walking in the background, and there was a desert with melted clocks, and sort of wanting to sort of play on this sort of journey through sort of like art history. Then the second update was the Ukraine war update, and then this was an update for M+ in China. So I needed to be a good boy, sort of make sure everything was above board there. But the thing that I wanted to sort of express with this is just sort of the vibrancy of sort of like China and Hong Kong, and you can see later in the piece he walks past a bunch of rabbits and sort of, it's the year of the rabbit. And so as it evolves as well, the sort of backpack and the sort of person is slowly evolving too. And so it's exciting to me to be able to sort of tell a story over a longer period of time through this really like new type of storytelling that, again, I think you will see a lot more of in the future. In terms of clues, I'm trying to think of a clue that would not just give it away.
No, you can give it away, that's fine.
Yeah, no, but it's been cool to like, sort of, I don't know, get to explore different ideas and different just sort of modes of storytelling that I think were not really possible. Okay, it's changing. It's starting to change. Okay, now I'm going to shut up.
All right.
We do the lights?
That's not a clue.
Woo. Amazing. Chapter 4 of Human One, everyone.
It worked. Thank God it worked. So yeah, so this is now sort of a new kind of like 10-minute loop that will sort of continue to like cycle through. And sort of the theme of this new update is code 404, which means error. And the idea is this person is sort of starting to lose their body. You can see the person's arm is now gone. And to me, it just is sort of a reflection on how things feel broken right now. I think just on a lot of different levels, the world feels like it is not on a sustainable path. Yes.
So did he break his foot previously? I noticed he had a bionic foot.
So yeah, so the last update was the first, like, this part of the sort of like leg, and now there's another sort of like part of the leg that has been replaced. And so, yeah.
Can you walk through how your vision has changed from the first chapter to this chapter? Like, how do you feel in like the act of creation about this piece and what you're trying to say, and how's that changed from, you know, from November 21, which was a very different moment for the world, for yourself, for America, to now?
I think probably the biggest thing is that I realized that this piece can say a lot of different things. Like in the first piece, there was no sort of like overlay like this. And now that to me is like another like little canvas inside this canvas that I can sort of put different information and put different sort of like messages. This sort of text scrolling through here is actually a ChatGPT story of a person in a virtual world whose body is starting to disintegrate. And so that again would not have been possible 2 years ago. ChatGPT did not exist. And so I think it's really sort of, in even like the backpack, having this like video on the backpack, having different ways to add more detail and add more sort of like nuance to the piece, to me has been really exciting. And each time I update it, I kind of like think of different ways, and sort of like it expands my idea every time of what this format could be.
Mike Beeple Winkleman, everyone.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Did you want to say anything else?
No, no.
Perfect. May I get a picture?
Thank you so much. I just want to let you know everyone's now invited to the listening forest. You can go through the lobby. You could also go on the Orchard Trail or take the shuttle. Yes.
Is it possible to ask the artists questions? Or...
Sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
One of my questions is, I can see you are very much a coder. You have like 401 code. You also have like QR codes. But I noticed the QR code only flashes for about 2 seconds. Is there significance behind that?
Gotta be quick. That's part of the like clues, so that's, we didn't want to make it too easy. So you gotta hunt for it. Yeah, I went to school for computer science. I am definitely not a coder though. I am very much never really used that computer science degree, to be quite honest.
That's an anti-clue, right?
Up.
What other places have them displayed your art?
So this has been displayed at, the first place it was displayed was in Italy. at Torino, Italy. And then the last place I was at was in Hong Kong, China.
And in the middle?
What's up?
Well, you said the first place and the last place, so I was asking, was there?
No, this is the third place that it's been.
First U.S. museum.
First U.S. museum.
I have questions for both of you, actually. First, Mike, so as a fellow kind of nerdy technologist,
Okay, wow, you calling me a nerd, bro?
I'm inspired by your dailies and your commitment to that, but now you've fully arrived. So how are you blocking time and maintaining that daily regimen while, traveling the world?
To be honest, I think with the everydays, there is no sort of secret. You just have to sort of make time for it. And I think giving yourself a realistic expectation of what you are going to get done in one day, which I can assure you will not be a masterpiece, is key to continually doing this over a very long period of time. But again, I think if doing an everyday is something that you're interested in, which I think, it definitely has helped me grow immensely as an artist. I think starting out trying to do 100 days, I think, and not being like, I'm gonna do this every day for the rest of my life, that's daunting. It's daunting for me. But I think starting out with 100 days is that, and say I'm just gonna do 30 minutes, that's it. Yeah.
And then it's Ryan, right?
Yep.
So as I'm also a new media artist, and this isn't a Guerrilla Girls moment, I swear, but there's no other new media art in this museum, right? And does that scare you as a collector? Does the idea of maintaining this work after Beeple dies scare you? How are we arriving to the 21st century? Because I'm with you, I want to figure it out.
Yeah, seeing a sort of a dearth of digitally native art in museums in America, around the world, I actually look at as a generational opportunity. Very clearly, this generation leaders in digital art belong as part of art canon and will eventually take their rightful place in art canon. And we see this with Mike and Rafiq, but there's an entire class of artists, Sam Spratt here as well, who will eventually have their recognition and be in these hollow grounds, whether it's here or in other museums. So I actually look at it as an asymmetric opportunity that is really exciting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At what point does human one not exist? So he just kind of touched on when you pass away, not if, but when. What happens to humans? We're all gonna die. That's okay.
Not me.
But what
That's me.
happens to human one at that point? Do you have a plan set up, to continue on your work?
I do have a plan. I've not actually executed that plan, if I'm being totally honest, so hopefully I don't get hit by a bus tonight. But I do have a plan, and that's where I think it's actually really exciting. And that was the question I immediately got in Christie's a bunch when people were looking, what are you gonna do when you die? What are you gonna do when you die? And I had not given it much thought. And then somebody mentioned Warhol's time capsules and how he had these time capsules that people are still uncovering and opening. And I thought, wow, that is an amazing idea and something that I think could perfectly sort of work for this, in that I could program it to look a certain way 1 year after I die. I could program it to look a certain way 2 years after I die. I could also program, if XYZ happens in the world, change it to this, some sort of conditional things. And so, to me, it's sort of something that continue to say things even after I die. And I think that is really, really exciting. And I think the other thing that's exciting about this too is that it's going to continue to change and update as technology changes. We'll put in faster computers. I'm looking at this more as a piece of software that I'm going to continue to update versus a static object that's just done forever. This is not done for me.